G'day.
Hey.
43OG. How you going, mate?
Good, mate. How are you, Dozza?
Pretty good, thank you. Oh, looks like we got Bluey here as well. Let me just see if I can. Hey, Bluey. How you going, mate?
Excellent. How you going, boys?
Really good, man.
Awesome.
That intro was fire, bro. I don't know what you messaged me yesterday. You're like, dude, I'm not sure about this intro. I'm like, dude, I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And I just look at it, dude. That's better than our Hex Late Show intro, man. I need you to make me an intro now.
Come on. Nah, man. I just got a bunch of stock footage and just like literally and like stock music and then just cobbled it together. So I was actually thinking it would be cool to get I think there's a couple of Hexagon musicians and stuff that do like D&B and a few other things. I think DJ Creditus is one of them. He's an Aussie guy, and I was going to hit him up and see if I could get him to, make something. But I just use the stock stuff, so might change it and play with it. Awesome. But anyway, cool. Well, cheers to Friday, anyway, gents.
Big cheers.
Yeah. How you been, Bluey? Are you still in Japan or are you moving around?
No, I'm in Europe now.
Oh, there you go. Jet setup, mate. You're everywhere.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How many countries have you been? I was just going to ask, Bluey, how many countries have you been in the last year and a half, ever since you left Australia?
United States, Colombia, Mexico, Spain, UK, Germany, Japan.
Wow.
And now I'm in Greece.
Hectic. There you go. That's right. I remember you saying you're going to go to the Greek islands or something. I've been to Santorini, but I never went to Mykonos. I'll be keen to go to Mykonos, but I'm not sure whereabouts you are. Maybe you don't want to dox your location.
I won't dox it fully, no. But
no, fully. But you could talk about Japan. How was that, man? Like, did you end up going to Kyoto? Was it? Did you end up getting there?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I went to Kyoto and Osaka and Tokyo.
Wow.
And I love Japan. Japan was awesome. Do
they have the sumo shows on? Do they have any sumo shows on?
You know what I heard? Like, I didn't get into looking for them. But I'd be keen to go next time for sure. I want to go back.
I think there's like a certain time of year. Yeah, I think there's like a time of year that they do it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. The Japanese culture is really beautiful. It's very, very respectful. And like I didn't get the feeling that people were ripping each other off. Like when I'm in America, I get the feeling everyone's ripping each other off. And but like Japan is just really kind of deeply respectful, and the food was just on another level. Like I was eating amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. And
awesome. And there's been a lot happening with DeFi and the RH ecosystem. I just saw that we're sort of nullifying the whole V1, V2 thing, because if you've got the auto router on, it's going to aggregate between the V1 and V2 pools. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. And Bataeus have been doing that anyway, which is something I expect. Yeah. And they do it across many different pools. So
yeah, the Fux pools as well. Yeah. I mean, look, I always compare Bataeus and PulseX and just have them side by side, and then whichever gives me more coins. But I think Bataeus has got some MEV protection stuff in there as well. So that's always good for the massive orders. Nah, just my tiny little crumb.
Yeah, 100K you're pushing around.
Yeah, the bots are just looking at it in the mempool going, I'm not going to waste my time with that. But no, I'm keen to up my DCAing into September. I might even bring up this. Where is it here? Yeah, so this is the BTC monthly returns for like the last whatever it is. 13 years. And September is historically pretty shithouse, I think, is the general consensus. So I think maybe a lot of people are kind of looking for October before things start to kick off. And is it one of those like self-fulfilling prophecies where like if enough people think that September is going to be rubbish, that then they just hold off and then it is rubbish?
I think there's a lot of that happens in crypto, the self-fulfilling kind of prophecy. I mean, the 4-year cycle is a classic example of that. Like, why should it happen? Like, it's only a halving of the emission rate. But it seems to be that because it started happening, that and then it just people expected it, and so then they started front running it a bit, and it just kind of reinforced it.
And every halving, it's going to be less and less relevant, with respect to BTC, because it's like less of a percentage. It makes sense that it's going to go away at some stage, but then are we just that 4-year cycle gives you like a framework, like a mental framework for how things are going to work out in the future. If that's not there, everything's just up in the air. What does that do to crypto? What does that do to the mindset of the average crypto person?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of cope as well, like because it's like, oh, everything's gone down, but that's okay because in 4 years it'll pump again. So there's always that sort of safety net. There wasn't there in that safety net wasn't there in previous cycles where it was like people were like, it's down and it's never coming back. So maybe we don't see the full 11K and pray, because there's always that sentiment in the crypto community out there that there will always be another cycle, like there will be another bull. Maybe in previous cycles they didn't have that.
Yeah, I just think back to 2019, and because that's kind of where we are in the equivalency. And I remember like at the end of 2019 is when I started looking back into crypto. Like I'd been pretty much hadn't paying attention for the couple of years since the bear in 2018. Like, and at that time I was like, nah, this is going to be a couple of years of this. I'm just not going to pay attention for a while. And then end of 2019, I was like, okay, let's see where things are. Let's see how the technology has developed. And that's when I found Uniswap, and I was just like, whoa, this is it. This is going to be huge.
Hectic.
Yeah.
And look, they're still building. I mean, there's, Uniswap V4 coming out, and there's lots of things on the horizon. So even this week, there's been lots of stuff. Visa talking about, payment rails on Solana. Shout out to Somi.
It's so sus, though, it's so sus that they chose Solana, hey? Like,
yeah, it's like it's the least sort of uptime, like least reliable chain. It's always down. Goes down more of
course it's
than
sus.
Your boyfriend, I think. Bloody hell.
Of course it's sus. It's like it's so obviously sus, man. It's like
the Solanas. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the fact that they can turn the chain on and off, it just makes it so anti-crypto. Like, anyway.
Well, I mean, they probably don't want to turn it off, right? But they're finding...
just like what happened with Base.
But that's what Legacy wants. Legacy wants someone who can turn it on and off.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah, they want... Absolutely. They want to be able to have the government come in. They want to have all of that kind of... That's their security. They want to be able to like reverse stuff if stuff fucks up. They want to like...
So I don't think that... Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. It's not gonna reverse. Like, it's not gonna reverse people who have our mindset, which is the mindset of we need these decentralized, censorship-resistant channels. We're not going to go back to those we're not going to use them any more than we currently use the legacy system anyway. That's not going to draw us in. We're not going to be like, we're not going to grow that pie for them. I really think that it's going to flow in our direction. When I say our direction, I mean in the direction of what we think is, you know, the right direction, which is DeFi and censorship resistance. So I think that's a losing battle for them long term. Anyway,
it's hard to know because you've kind of got the two camps. You've got the people that actually genuinely believe in decentralization and not having middlemen, and sort of being autonomous, if you like. So having permissionless payment transactions, like peer to contract to peer. And then you've just got people who want to degen on NFTs on Solana, and they don't care, and they're just trying to like flip some NFTs or whatever. So maybe for them, the fact that the chain goes down so often, it's not a big issue, but for everyone else, it's like. But then that's why it's so ironic that Visa would choose them. But
did you guys hear about Metamask?
Yeah, I did. I saw it in the news that they were doing the fiat sort of on-ramp, off-ramp, or being able to sell.
For the UK and the US, I think.
UK and US and some parts of Europe, yeah. But I saw Somi's thing. Shout out to Somi again. I have to, every time I say something, I have to sit up straighter. And I've actually got proof of floppy slippers. I've got my Ugg boots. So
nice. Very nice.
But he, in one of his things, he was saying that the MetaMask off ramp, like to sell, was like, it was something ridiculous, like 9%.
Yeah,
like fees. And I was like,
that as well.
9, like not 0.9, 9.
So it's like, great that they've done that. However, fuck those rent seekers. And I'm sorry I swore on your show.
Swear as much as you like.
Yeah, rent seeking. They're just it's rent seeking.
Rent seeking. Are you saying, what are you saying? Sorry?
Rent
seeking. Yeah.
Seeking.
Middlemen.
Yeah, it's just dirty pool, because like if you can go somewhere and you pay like a 0.3% fee or something, and then someone's like, oh, here's this service, and then but it's 9%, you know, it's like, dude, why are you doing that? You're just trying to fleece people like that don't know any better.
Man, I went to a bank to take out some euros last night, and normally they offer you, they say, do you want to do the with conversion or without conversion? And normally I do without conversion, and I accidentally pressed with conversion. And so I had a look at how much they charged me. They charged me 9%.
Oh,
I was just like,
yeah. What? I mean, that's the thing, even with the credit card payment rails and things like that. Like I think when I was trying to use OKX before they turned, you know, trader on us, there was all sorts of like credit card fees, and then you had to do a swap, and there was another fee, and it's just so many fees stacked on top of each other to go through the credit card. And it was like, nah, I'm just going to bridge it in, just buy some ETH and bridge it.
I can't wait until there's better solutions for merchants. If there's better solutions for merchants, then you can offer like crypto as a legit payment method, you know, and that I just think that's going to come in at some stage. At some stage, that's going to be something. I know they say don't spend your crypto, but maybe some people want to spend their crypto, but it's just that at the moment, like, because I looked into it, even though it's not something that I think anyone would ever use in my business, I looked into it and it was like a good 4%, you know, because it was going to be something that automatically turned everything into put it into your bank account, turned it into dollars and put it into your bank account immediately, just so that you haven't got any like tax issues. Because if you're holding on to crypto, if you're receiving payments in crypto, there's the point that you receive the crypto, but if you hang on to it and then there's movement in the dollar value between that time and when you eventually cash it out for dollars, that's going to be another taxable event. And it's like, do you want to take on that risk if you're selling something as a merchant? No, you don't. You want to be able to, you need as much security as possible.
Well, sorry, I was just going to say, I didn't want to interrupt you there. Have you seen? I don't know what happened there. I was just like trying to get that up in the background. So yeah, to your point of like, not selling. I mean, have you played with the liquid loans on testnet?
No, I haven't.
It's testnet v4, pretty straightforward. I recommend people check it out. So basically, like, I was having a play with this last night, and I've just got like a test wallet with some, test pulse and that in there. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Like, they've got some really cool how-to videos. They only go for like a minute. It seems complicated, but it's actually fully straightforward. You basically just, if you wanted to borrow, you can put in however much PLS you want. So like, say, because on testnet it's actually worth quite a lot. But say you put in like 1 million pulse, and then you set, oh yeah, so here, that's your collateralization ratio. So you could borrow 85,000 USDL from 1 million pulse on testnet. But yeah, you can change that to be like, or whatever, 10,000 USDL, and then you change your collateral ratio. So I think the minimum is like 150%. So you could like literally borrow like, like whatever, 900,000 or something stupid. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So then you've got the stability pool as well. So I mean, I probably wouldn't borrow USDL using, Pulse as the collateral. And maybe I will, I don't know. But I do like the idea of there could be some tax benefits for it. But you'd have to see, within your jurisdiction or whatever. But the stability thing, you can just buy USDL on market, and then you can stake it and get, APR, and then, you can get your loan tokens and you can stake them as well. And yeah, you just get like some rewards and things like that. And then you redeem your USDL back for Pulse at the end of it. And you can also liquidate people as well. So when people put their Pulse into vaults, I think to borrow the USDL, if their collateralization ratio goes below, I think it's 100%, then you can actually liquidate them, and then you get like whatever it is, 0.5% or some number. But yeah, so you can look at sort of vaults that are on the edge of being liquidated, and you can actually liquidate them. I suspect bots will do that though, right? Like, bots will just go through and just liquidate anyone that's below 100% because they're financially incentivized to do so.
Yeah. I think bots will also arbitrage between USDL just to keep that pegged. Isn't that the whole how that works as well?
Yeah, exactly. So if you can always redeem like a USDL for $1 worth of Pulse, the second where it goes outside of that range, then it would make sense to, if you could earn more Pulse per USDL, you'd be buying USDL, and if you were earning less, then you would be putting it into the stability pool. So yeah, that would effectively arbit to sort of, you know, like a pegging it, if you will. So they do rely on people putting the USDL or putting the Pulse into the stability pool and also redeeming the USDL for Pulse as well. But yeah, the R bots, I think, will hopefully keep that sort of USDL pegged to $1 worth of Pulse.
Well, there's a financial incentive for that to happen.
Yeah, I think that's the best incentive, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see if I can pull this back. Oh, there we go. All right. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Do you think, I don't know when
they're just waiting on the
loans
Oracle
guys are.
They're just
Tangent's in the house. I'll just pull him up. Yo, bro. One moment, he's doing stuff. That's cool. So yeah, so if they're still mucking around with oracles and things like that for the liquid loans, but it sort of feels like it's imminent. And I wonder if that might have a bit of a pump for PLS, because people will want to accumulate a bunch of PLS so that they can get some loan token and then, you know, use the whole system and start staking their USDL and staking their loan. So how you going, Tangent?
Dozza, what's up, man? Thanks for the invite. Bluey,
what's
43,
what's up?
How are y'all? I'm in a good mood right now.
Awesome. What's been going on?
So what you were just talking about, I know several people who their takes are generally pretty accurate, that reckon that liquid loans launching could be a major catalyst for PulseChain's success, or the commencement of the success trajectory. I should be pointing that way.
Yeah. Just to at least bottom out. Like that's all we can hope for at this point.
Yeah.
We're pretty low right now, aren't we?
Say that.
We're pretty low Pulse price right now. We're close to
it's like just below the whale sacrifice rate, I think, last time I checked.
So if you're buying Pulse now, you're getting the whales. You're getting the
you're getting the whale bonus.
Yeah, you're getting the whale bonus.
Yep. Yeah, I was actually going to stream. And then I saw that you guys were doing a stream. I thought I'd just crash your stream rather than doing my own stream.
Cool, bro. Well, I was going to ask you. Oh, let me see if I can pull this up.
I love that background, dude. Where'd that come from?
Doz's one.
Which one's this?
Yeah, Doz's background.
I just yoink all of my stuff off that
Hex design.
That Telegram Hex design. Yeah.
Hex design. Yeah. I love that. Okay. Dude, that's what I get. Every time I post on Twitter when it's got graphics in it, which is basically every post, I use that same Telegram. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Because you just go awesome. Group info photos, and it's got literally every image that's ever been created by anyone in that group.
Yeah. That Poseidon Hex guy design. And a few others. They do some really cool shit. I was going to ask your opinion, Tangent. Do you think that there is a bit of a fractal going on with BTC at the moment with this whole, you know how we had the double top and you could sort of argue that it was a bit of a head and shoulders, and then the neckline of this head and shoulders is pretty much the peak of the head of this next little fractal that we've got going on here.
Well, I effing hope not.
It's not bullish.
Yeah. I effing hope not. And the counter that I would give to that is, I'm told by TA experts that are smarter than me that you shouldn't draw head and shoulders prior to the actual second shoulder forming up, because that's the most important part.
Gotcha.
So I think that might be too early to be. You'd want to see it form up maybe 70% or more of that other right shoulder. So basically up and a little bit back before you'd even start entertaining to keep an eye out for that pattern. So too early. I think too early.
Dozza, can I offer my uneducated? Can I offer my uneducated opinion on that chart?
Of course.
It looks very much dead cat bouncy to me. Just let's zoom out a bit. Looks dead cat bouncy to me,
wow.
bro.
on a big time frame, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But what about look? But you're not thinking about, you're ignoring the halving though. Like
no. What I'm doing is I'm not being emotional about
just
it.
purely. So you're saying purely based on technicals, looking at the chart only, pretending it's a different asset, like pretending
Just
that you don't know what
visual,
asset it is.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I'm just looking at it and I'm just saying, hey,
yeah,
that could be. Yeah.
That's an acceptable way of doing things sometimes. Sometimes it's a bit of a sanity check to say, I'm going to ignore I'm going to try my best to ignore what this asset is, whether I hold a bag, whether I'm bullish, whether there's fundamentals, news, what it is, and literally just purely look at the chart and say, if this was just a chart that someone showed me and said, what do you think of this chart? And if your answer is that looks like balls, then you've got a problem. You've got a problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a bad strategy.
Yeah. And what that doesn't take into account though, what you mentioned is it doesn't take into account the halvening. It doesn't take into account macro
EFT approvals.
Specifically macro when it comes to the printing. If the US is going to print money, it doesn't take into account a lot of stuff.
Did you hear there was some Tim Cook interview or something where he said he holds crypto? Did you guys hear about that?
No. Who said Tim Cook?
Apple.
Yeah.
So but yeah.
I was going to say that there's two. I mean, there's things going on. So this is what like Tangent used to always say, where it's like when you're in a bear market when you're getting a lot of good news and the price is still getting hammered. But I would also say that agree with him as well that we have been in an uptrend since like the start of the year. But so there's been a lot of bullish things going on in crypto for sure. But the price has sort of been taking a hammering. Just out of interest, this right shoulder is like a 10% move up. And then I think if you go, from that.
What would the target be of that pattern?
It's 20K. It's 20K.
Okay.
20 grand. So it could just retest 20 grand. That wouldn't be
bears that are talking 20 grand is not super unrealistic. I think the people who people who are calling for a new low are delusional, and people who are still think that that Richard's 11K and pray thing is going to happen is just even more crazy.
Well, I was saying that so I reckon it might bounce off 20K again is possible.
20's possible. 20's possible. I'm obviously hoping that it doesn't go that low, but I think that's a realistic.
I'm hoping
I think that's a realistic worst case scenario. But
the only
lower
reason
than lower than 20 would be insanity. That's the previous cycle high.
I think I agree, and I think the only reason why I'm even considering this bearish case is because if you look at the moving averages, like where we had the crossover between the 10 MA on the weekly above the 20, and we've been above it this whole time, and the price has been above everything. The weekly closed below the 20 MA, and that to me was just like that's like a bit of a uptrend over if you close below the 20 MA on the weekly. But it has done it before and then like faked out. So it's kind of really interesting to see, like, if it could just take off and then it's like nullified, and then this right shoulder thing is not going to happen. But if it just does the 10% up and then goes back down, then it's this candle here, the weekly close below the 20 MA,
and retesting and flipping it into resistance as well. So it would be the retest of that MA as well. And notice when typically if it's a fake out, it's not usually multi-candle. So that other one that I see you talking about, it's like you'll get the close enough to fake people into going short, and then all those short sellers get wrecked on the next candle as it goes back straight up. But we've been under for a while now.
Wick. Yeah, and then look at this wick though. It's like it tried to, and it just got sold down.
What do you guys think was the catalyst? What do you guys think was the catalyst to bring us out of the last bear? like the 2019, 18, 19 bear?
I think there was a Ponzi. Wasn't there a Ponzi? Like, wasn't it like one of the Ponzi's that like led the bull run?
Really?
Like one coin or whatever.
One coin.
By the way, Ponzi schemes are great at starting bull markets. I'm not suggesting
that was before the that was before the
everything's
COVID
a Ponzi.
That was before the one token thing was in between us going to 3K and then in BTC, and then we had the one token thing, and then later on we had the COVID dip, and then after that it was off to the races.
I like Richard Hart's thing.
So COVID dip was March, I think March 2020, and then from that point on, BTC just sort of went off.
Could it have been?
Yeah,
I'll look up.
I was just going to say, I like RH's thing of where he kind of goes, businesses like by definition want to scale and have more people come in so that they can get larger and have more employees, and then they get more people coming in, and then they can, create a bigger premises and have more people. Like, so by definition, like, except for the whole transfer of wealth from the early adopters to the, that part of the Ponzi, but from people's basic idea of what a Ponzi is, like everything's a Ponzi. Everything requires more people to get in for something to grow. And that, by that definition, if everything's a Ponzi, then nothing's a Ponzi. So it's like Somi just kind of going, yeah, it's a Ponzi, it's a casino, everything is like, so deal with it.
The pension system is definitely a Ponzi. The pension system is most definitely a Ponzi, because the people right now who are working and paying taxes are paying for the pensions of the people to exit.
I think what Richard's saying, I think what Richard's really saying in that is he's saying that criteria, while it is true of Ponzi's, it is also true of other things. So that thing alone does not classify something as a Ponzi, because everything requires more adoption for prices to go up. But actual Ponzi's are like that definition of an actual Ponzi, where you're fraudulently misleading people to believe that there's a source of income that doesn't exist, and then paying old investors with the investment funds of new. That does exist and is a Ponzi and is unethical and illegal.
Proper Ponzi.
And like a proper Ponzi, which Hex is not. Regular businesses are not. Most cryptos are not, but some are, like BitConnect and
it's really
and one
human psychology, which
one
is the
coin.
Ponzi.
Yeah,
isn't it? Like, it's human psychology is the thing that basically, like, we see green billies and people are going to be jumping in. And we know that now, don't we? So it's like,
yeah. People desperately want to believe that you can get rich quickly, and the problem is that in crypto, it's actually true, which opens the doors for all of those old get rich quick scams to come and sound even more realistic, because people are like, it's actually happening that people are getting rich quickly within the industry. So you're mating up the desire, the desperation that people want to believe that they can get out of their situation with low effort and fast time frame, coupled up with real results that people really are experiencing, and from non-scams, right? Like, there are people, Dogecoin, Shiba, Bitcoiners would call them all scams, but they're not natively scams. Like, they're not fundamentally a scam.
Yeah.
And so so it's the perfect breeding ground for actual scams.
But it still takes that network effect to keep the price up.
Yes.
Like,
exactly. So
network effect. You need
like
that,
what Tangent was saying. Yeah. So just because you need that network effect, you need that Metcalfe's law, you need that increase of users in the system, on the network, for it to scale. That's just one part of. So when people point to it and say Ponzi, it's like, well, you're not understanding the definition, right? This is how Tangent said of what a true Ponzi is. That is really interesting.
And I liked how because BitConnect got blown up in terms of found out that it was a scam in 2018, so it could have actually been part of that running that cycle up, the 2017 bull.
Yeah, and it's hard to know exactly. Because correlation is not causation as well. So there could have been something else like the the US presidential election or something that's actually they're printing money trying to, so then that's actually what's causing it. And then we think, oh, it's because of this, but just could it be a correlation, but not actually the cause of it.
It's also
I liked how that, sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's also like how wrecked people got and how long it takes them to be reinflated with hopium after getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Like do they, I mean, people probably sort of walk away in disgust, but how long does that last before they're
Bluey's comment? Yeah, Bluey's comment is something I was just thinking to myself, the difference between, so when people come in and they're involved in a Ponzi, they don't get chopped up by the volatility and stuff, because these things, they are fake. So they're guaranteed returns. So they feel like they're winning the entire duration, getting their family and friends in, telling everyone about crypto. So in terms of crypto evangelism, it goes off the chain, right? Everyone's winning, everyone's making money, telling their friends and family, getting them into crypto. So it is actually a great, whereas normally people would come into crypto, get chopped up by fees, liquidated on leverage trades, volatility out the ass, just leave their heads spinning and then go and tell their friends, that was the most stressful, horrific thing ever. I lost money. I'm out. So
yeah,
sadly, I think Ponzi's are actually great for sustained crypto adoption.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that most crypto out there is actually pretty terrible and probably, can get you wrecked. So that's like 99%, unfortunately. I was going to say two things. So I like how that Lamont guy, we're talking about the hexonomics, he's like slowly, like you can see his bloody cogs just turning, where he's like, oh,
he's
so
just coming out with all the stuff that we all like.
Yeah, we sort of talked about it for ages.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, so because he's always talking about how there was no utility and, and it's that argument of the Ponzi thing. It's like the utility is in the staking function. And you can see him like slowly kind of going, oh, wow. So it's like this, a transition of wealth from the patient, the impatient to the patient, and the people who are staking are generating a yield, whereas the guys who aren't are getting diluted. And you can kind of see him kind of going, oh, wow, this is actually really interesting. And each time he looks into it a bit further, he sees other analogies in TradFi, and it's like, shit. Like, that's why we're talking about
his recent posts have been phenomenal, man. I've been retweeting them out. They've been absolutely brilliant.
They've been really good. It's good to see, yeah.
And he's working it out at the perfect time when the prices are completely shagged.
And how bullish is it that we can take the hater from the Thos documentary and then like turn him into a hexagon? Like that we've actually just sort of, because he was in a
did the research,
skeptical
he DYOR,
and then he did, and he was like,
bullish.
Actually, I think you guys might be onto something.
It's very bullish.
It shows that it takes a while for people to kind of understand it, though.
Yeah.
When I saw the scene, and by the way, not a plot spoiler because I haven't seen the movie, this is from the preview. When I saw that scene where he's got all the documents printed out and he's like highlighting stuff and circling in red, I was just like, he's actually looking into it and thinking it through and trying to work this out. Like the first person to ever do research, do research in crypto. What?
That's awesome.
I actually think the community deserves a lot of kudos for the way that they have interacted with him as well. They could have been been quite aggressive towards him, but instead they engaged with him, and we have engaged with him and have had a discussion with him. And I think that's helped him like see what we see.
Definitely. And like there is a lot going on at the moment. I was going to say when Tangent was talking about that, how there's all these Ponzi's out there and all this sort of stuff. Did you see there's that Killer Whales show that's going to come out with like a whole bunch, like a panel of like, furus basically. and it's got like Rand from Banter and Wendy and a whole bunch of other people, and they're like going to be pitched all these crypto ideas, and then they're going to do like a Shark Tank, and say whether
Shark Tank.
Yeah, I'll pull it up. It's pretty funny. But the funny thing I was thinking is,
can I be one of the judges?
You fully should be, man. That would be sick.
I'll go savage. Oh, absolutely.
But don't you reckon it'd be like 99% of them would be like pass? Like the whole show would be boring because they're just literally passing on everything.
No, that's the best part when they get shut down. You get to see the look on their face. You're like, wait, so you're just doing a fucking safe moon fork? Get the fuck out of here! Like,
I get the fuck out.
You know what I mean? Like you would just slay people.
We need to be great.
They're just YouTube influencers. I want to see more flex. I want to see more fucking Lambo. Like, you know, when I watch the Shark Tank, you know those guys are successful. These people, we don't know realistically.
What are their credentials? Why are they?
I want to see Lambo. I want to see like Richard Hart level.
Richard Hart would be an amazing.
You don't even need
Look
a panel.
At these douchebags.
That guy there.
I don't know any of these clowns.
Look at this guy. They got Mario from the Spaces. Wasn't he like provably?
I recognize
like,
Rand
people.
Yeah, he bots his Spaces.
It's got Altcoin Daily there in the middle. I don't know half of these people.
Altcoin, the twins. You got Wendy.
Wait, do you mean the Winklevi twins?
No, the
Altcoin Daily twins.
Is the Coinbro guy?
These are nobodies. These are nobodies.
No,
seriously.
No, it's not.
You can't say that.
Rand.
You can't say that. These are the people who have the biggest followings on YouTube. That's probably how they chose them.
Don't know half of them.
Should I play the thing?
I guess I stopped watching like Furu garbage.
This is some.
I've always liked Rand. He's a cheeky fuck. He's such a cheeky fuck. I like Rand.
Don't you think this is like delusions? This is delusional. Delusions of grandeur. These guys.
Yes.
Show me some fucking wealth. Show me you deserve to be on that panel.
Got no socks.
Guys.
Now you've made it when you don't have to wear socks.
Yo, we apply
moccasins with no socks.
We apply to go onto this show with some pitch that we lie about, that we just say, oh, this is our pitch. But then when we go on there, we just slide that to the side and just call them out on all of their shit and just be like, yo, I want to see you go on there and shield the Tang Gang. Just fucking shut, like, just absolutely.
Bro, I love that idea. I love that idea, but that shit will never hit the air.
It's already been shot.
It'll never air. Yeah, would it air? Because they want that like if they want ratings, that drama level, like that, they maybe would put it on. I mean, you're right. They'd be throwing posts under the bus, right? Like the producers would be like,
and they'd make us look retarded. They'd make us look so fucking stupid, just with edits and stuff.
I want to see either Tangent shilling Tangang on that show, or I want to see you as a judge. I want to see you as a judge.
I'm going to go on there. I've got a multi-billion-dollar marketing idea. It's called the Tangang.
Oranges.
Let me tell you a story about oranges.
Did you see this clock that they sent me?
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll see if I can.
That's cool.
Quickly. So
it's it's the happy hour. You need to have
That's
I was
awesome.
going to say, have a old-fashioned
happy hour. This clock will let you know what time it is. And so,
what time is it?
Yeah, but basically, that's a Tangang clock. It's like, so it's the hex logo or the hexagon with an orange in the middle of it.
That's awesome. That's so funny, bro. You're gonna have to have old fashions because haven't they got orange rind in the old fashions? Pretty sure.
Well, Ty sent me a recipe for coffee that's got like orange and cinnamon in it. And it's like super delicious.
Nice. Yeah. No. I pretty much exclusively have old fashions when I go out because
nice.
It's like
I knew that was your drink.
Cocktail.
I knew that.
Yeah, at that Hex meetup, I must have had a fucking dozen of them. That was so funny.
By the way, I promised DGen Waffles that I would, because I missed his live stream with Corey a few hours ago, like maybe 7 hours ago, I think roughly.
Yep.
DJ Waffles and Cookies were meant to go on to Corey's stream, talk about Tangang, and Cookies didn't make it, and so Too Spooky, the founder of HOA, took Cookies' place last minute just to cover the spot, even though DGen Waffles would have done an amazing job anyway. And I actually slept through and woke up like an hour after the stream, even though I wanted to be there live just to show support and stuff. And so he said, I will forgive you if you give me a summary of like what was said in the stream to prove that you watched it. And I said, bro, I will do better than that. And that's what I'm doing right now, is shouting that out, telling everyone, go check that stream out. I've watched it. It's great. You know, they talk about.
I like Too Spooky. He's a cool guy. He does a bunch of BJJ and I guess maybe it's just jiu-jitsu, but I think it's BJJ because I've seen him do a few moves and like, you know, throws and things like that.
Yeah. And you're into that stuff, aren't you, in a big way?
Yeah. So I was like watching him, and he's actually really good. He's I think he must be like a black belt or something in BJJ. He's like elite. So
Tangent, when you said that, it just made me think. So you go into YouTube, you highlight the transcript, you throw it into chat summarize. And in less than 5 minutes, you've done. Can you imagine if they said summarize this? You go do that, throw it in chat GPT, send it to them. Here's the summary, and just say, I just watched it on 2x, or I just watched it really fast.
But you know what the funny thing is, though? In that situation, they're kind of getting what they want anyway, because it's giving a summary for everyone else that's being put into the chat. So I'm still doing the work, even though you're cheating and not doing strictly what they asked, they're still getting the result that they want. Where
How do you get the transcript?
You're still digesting the information and then replaying it to everyone.
In YouTube, there's an option to like one of the maybe 3 dots or something. Let me see if I can see here where it is.
It's definitely doable.
It's definitely doable. It's put out into text.
But bro, you underneath tell my AI, the desktop, my AI has got internet accessibility, so I could just put the YouTube link in, and it will go and work it out. So I don't even need to give it. I don't need to go and get the text of the transcript and put it into the AI. I just give it the YouTube link and be like, "Tell me what this video is about." I can do it right now while we're here.
I'm just wondering if
I was just looking in the comments.
That actually worked, because when you see the closed captioning, often the words are incorrect from what the person is saying, and as a human, you can kind of work it out and guess.
AI works.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, that's what I need. I need
to. AI is flawless on typos and all of that stuff. Absolutely.
Right. Dozer, just on the BJJ,
yeah, man.
I'm hitting the mat. I should be hitting the mat in the next couple of weeks. Nice. I just need a couple of weeks to get a few things right with the body.
Yeah, man.
I went back in and spoke to the crew. Some of those people I haven't rolled with them in years, so it'll be good to go back. Yeah, it would be good to go back because a couple of them are like black belts. But we started out together back in the day, but they've been doing it the whole time. They've been doing it for 17 years, like, you know.
Whoa.
Because that's when I started back then. That's when I started.
But you'll be able to get back to that level, I reckon, because especially when you've got a rapport with the guys, and that when you roll with them, they know, you know, to take it easy, and especially if there's like no ego. I think.
Well, when I rolled with one of the guys who's a black belt. I rolled with him about 4 years ago. He was already a black belt. Oh, maybe he was a brown belt back then. I rolled with him a few years ago, and like he didn't like go hard or anything like that, but because we started out together and we rolled so much, like in those first 3 years, which are your formative years when you're doing BJJ, right? We still sort of, it's like we sort of knew our flow was like really, really good, and it was very intuitive because
it's really cool.
We started out like rolling, so we know where we're going to go with it. But that was good. I'm looking forward to getting back.
I'm lucky in that regard. I've got a couple of guys who I train with. I've actually got like bruises and shit all over me from this week. Last week I had the bruised lip. Yeah, and it's come good now. But it was funny because I was rolling with just sparring and stuff, but it turned into, takedowns and on the ground. And, we take up a lot of space because we're sort of going at it. It's, full contact, mouth guard, everything. But because I've got a good rapport with the guy, like if he got to me in like a heel hook or something like that, I was just like laughing my ass off going, yeah, you got that. Like, don't rip my, don't twist my knee or like rip it off sort of thing. And, but then at the end, one of the kids comes up to me and he goes, just out of the blue, just goes, "You guys are scary." That's all he said. I just walked up to him. "You guys are scary." And I was like, cool.
By the way, guys, this AI said that because the subtitles are turned off on that video, it can't access the thing that 43 was talking about. So it says, unfortunately, because the subtitles are disabled, can't directly extract and summarize the video content, but then it goes and summarizes what Corey's written in the description and gave a summary of that. So it's like the video says it's about this. But if the subtitles had been turned on, then this thing could have just gone, read it, and summarized it.
You ask ChatGPT to use a third-party application to extract the audio and turn it into text and then summarize it.
There are AI stuff that can do that, but I don't know how. Like, do you have to pay for those services and things?
I mean, Google does it for free, doesn't it? Google's like, if you turn on Google, it will just text to speech, speech to text. It just does. Every phone does it, like automatically. You go like every keyboard on every phone will have a little microphone that you can talk into it, and it'll just turn it into text. So you'd think that is pretty. That will be pretty open. Yep.
Sorry, something different that I don't
AI
know
your life.
No, sorry. So
and you got plans for tonight, have you? Is it the Friday night?
It's giving. I can't actually talk about what I'm doing this weekend.
No, that's cool.
But yes, like short answer in general, yes.
Awesome.
So this thing, so at the moment, it's actually just giving me options. It's saying, yeah, these tools would allow you to do it, and then you just have to say, like, go and do it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, my validator died this week. My validator died a horrible death.
Ooh. On it.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying about that.
I have to send it back.
In Japan,
is this from David Feeder or?
No.
Sorry,
the motherboard isn't. It's just not turning on.
And that was on Ethereum.
No, it was not. It was not something that was sold to him by David Feeder. To be clear,
It
was he did his
nothing
own
to do with David. And look, as good as David Feeder is, you can't control when hardware goes. Like if hardware is going to go down, it goes down. Like it wouldn't have anything to do with, wouldn't have any. You just go to.
No. I got mad respect for David for.
Oh yeah,
doing
absolutely,
that stuff as well. Like he's basically just holding up half the network with all these validators that he's put out. By proxy. It's like full hat tip because Richard and the devs bootstrapped it with all their validators, but they've taken them offline now, so it's all decentralized. But people like David Feeder are doing the right thing, for the community. Sorry, Bluey, what were you going to say about Japan, mate?
No, just like on Google Translate on my phone, I just put it on camera and I could put it over Japanese text and it would translate it all on screen. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Which was pretty,
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's come a long way, hey? Yeah, traveling is certainly a lot easier now when you've got sort of, internet access, translators and all sorts of like maps and things. Yeah,
it's really necessary in Japan as well, because like a lot of the restaurants just don't have English menus, but also like the air conditioning or the toilet. Like the toilet has so many buttons and shit.
Yeah, you might end up getting the spray. Like
you have no idea what it all does. It's like really complex.
You gotta like sync it with your phone or something, so it's got your personalized settings.
They have gone like funny. Honestly, they're on V4 toilets.
Like, just trial and error, huh? It's like, what's this button do? Ooh, what's this one do?
That's funny. Yeah, actually, I don't want to go down the toilet humor stuff too much, but yeah. Anyway, I'll save that one for the green room. Yeah, so there's a lot of bullish things going on in crypto as a whole and like DeFi as a whole, and I'm finding it's really not reflecting in the price. So there's like this, disparity between the price and the value. I think Tangent was talking about that on the Late Show as well. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff like with the Grayscale ETFs, the Bitcoin spot ETFs, and the Ethereum ETF, I think is going to be approved as well. So that's pretty hectic.
Yeah. People are starting to talk about that for sure.
Do you think they'll do an altcoin ETF?
No.
Not
too many securities.
Not soon. But maybe an ETH one would be not too far away.
I think they have got an ETH one.
Yeah. ETH is more used than Bitcoin.
What a spot ETF for ETH in America?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Oh no, the Grayscale guys have put an application in for. The SEC
applications, yes, yes, but not actually approved. Yeah. So I think ETH would be the next one that wouldn't be too far behind. I guess like once that momentum gets moving, where once they accept one crypto ETF, maybe it makes it easier for the next ones.
What's the scenario? What's the bullish scenario for why, if we have all of these ETFs come out, that it's good for price?
Well, in theory, they have to buy up a shit ton, but that's actually an interesting point, because I was looking on that Arkham intelligence thing, and it's got like all the wallets for the Grayscale, the portfolio, I guess. And they've already bought up a shit ton already. So I'm not sure, like you say, like how bullish is it if they've already got it? It's not like that.
Any additional investors in, they have to buy it. Like, so every dollar that's invested into the fund from new capital, like new investors who want to be a part of it, they have to buy spot.
Yeah, so that's just another way for retail to come in, basically.
And that's true as well. Yeah, it gives a lot more accessibility to the asset from individuals, funds, so retail company. Like it makes it so much easier for any entity to buy Bitcoin. That's a good point.
At scale, I think is what you're saying.
Any amount, I guess. Like, yeah, it's like a much.
It looks like they've got 16 billion worth of BTC and basically 5 billion worth of ETH already.
Wow.
Yeah, because they've been running that investment fund trust without it being an ETF.
Yeah, true. So so they're trying to turn it into an ETF. Maybe whereas some of these other ones are trying to.
The other ones, The other ones are not like pre-holding Bitcoin. All the other ones, if they get approval, it'll be fresh buys for anyone that's being involved in that.
And what's the big difference between a Grayscale trust and an ETF? Like, what's the point of difference?
That you can
so
sell
that you people in the stock market
ETF
can
sell it whenever you like. I think with Grayscale, you have to hold it for a period of time after you buy
forever.
It.
A year. You have to hold it for a year.
No, they hold it forever, but you have to. I believe they hold it forever, but you have to wait a period.
Oh,
of time
sorry. Before you can trade sell the shares or whatever.
Maybe 6 months or something. Is it 6 months you have to hold it for, or something like
that. But that's
that.
only when you're initially getting in, yeah? Like, not every time you, or is that every time you buy it, you have to hold it for a minimum of 6 months?
I think if you're trading on the secondary market, there is no requirement for holding because you're just trading it like a stock. But I think if you're going to be one of the investors,
to redeem it. If to redeem it, you have to wait at least 6 months.
Redemption. No redemption. There's no redemption. It's a one-way. It's a one-way street.
So there's not much difference really between the Grayscale.
No, it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference.
But if it's just being traded like an ETF, honestly, what's the...
Following a 6-month holding period, shares are eligible to become unrestricted and resold in the public market. Grayscale. That's from grayscale.com.
The shares. Oh, okay. So you can't just...
Shares, yeah.
You can't just get buy them and sell it 3 months later. Or if you sell it, you have to, and then you want to buy back in, you still have to go to wait another 6 months.
Yeah, I think so. I think every time you buy, you have to wait 6 months. Every time you
for an investment. That's just like...
Yeah, exactly.
Might actually be a good idea at this time in the cycle, because maybe it flips into being positive, because at the moment it's discount, right?
I just didn't see how it would be attractive.
Well, yeah, it was
like
it was minus 50% at some point.
Yeah, so if you buy it at a discount now, so you're essentially buying BTC at a discount, and then you were to sell it 6 months later, but that's flipped into being there being a premium, then you're making like way more than just like an increase in if there's an increase in the BTC price. Sort of like the whole like perpetual game that some people play where they might buy something at the discount and then later on there's a premium and they'll sell it.
Yeah. Speaking of the premium, one of the reasons why you have the swings in premium and discount on Grayscale is because of that problem with lack of redemption. So a true spot ETF will track closer to the actual Bitcoin price.
Yep.
And it'll be more trusted because it's like got approval from the SEC, so people feel more comfortable investing into it. Yeah. It's it's more accessible. It's definitely better. Like as in, so it's similar. It's similar, but it will be better once there's actually a true spot ETF.
So what's the argument for the Grayscale people then? The argument for them is they're never going to sell it. That's their argument. Their argument is if you buy through us,
why they should get the first approval is because they've been around the longest and they've proven themselves and they've been doing it. So it's like their experience in the game running that specific.
That's different to what. That's sort of slightly different to what I'm suggesting. I'm saying the argument for why someone might go through Grayscale. I mean, obviously, I'm not making this argument.
They want a spot ETF. They're not trying to compete against spot ETFs. They want it to be a spot ETF. They want to be the first. So they're not competing. They want to be one.
I'm not.
So they're not trying to mount an argument of like, oh, hey, here are the advantages of you using our product. They want their product to be that product. So they're not trying to mount that argument. They're not trying to be like, oh, here are the advantages of doing it this way.
But their product currently it's like they don't sell BTC.
They can't.
But they never do.
Yeah, they're not allowed to. They can't.
So they buy it, and even if you after 6 months sell it and you get your money,
you can't sell it either. No one can sell it. You can sell the shares. You can sell GBTC.
Yeah, but that's all you get. You only get the shares. You don't actually get the BTC.
Yeah, true. Yes. Yes.
What I guess what I'm saying is what's bullish about the way they do it is that they don't actually sell the BTC. So going through them is actually better for Bitcoin price holistically,
than
if you're thinking from a holistic perspective, than a spot ETF where they're buying and selling at the spot rate.
I think that might be a little bit of a simplified view because the problem with that is there are less people. Theoretically, there are less people willing to participate in this thing if they know they can't. So on a very simplified view, oh, it's locked up, it can't be sold, so it's not selling pressure. That's a good thing. But in terms of getting everyone to actually participate and buy the shit in the first place, there's a lot of people that are like, I'm not touching that shit because I can't get my money out. Like, I can't. And when people see those swings in premium and discount, particularly when the discount is getting larger and larger and larger, people are like, well, I'm not buying that because this discount could go even deeper. So you're exposed to the volatility risk, you're like exposed to the depreciation of the asset potentially, and the potential of a broadening discount as well. So
I guess it comes down to where you think, if you think BTC is a long-term hold, if you're long BTC, look, either way, I don't suggest anyone buys ETFs, anyone buys Grayscale. I think you should just buy BTC on the market and hold it yourself. Like, this is sort of I don't even know why I'm spending 5 minutes discussing this shit. Don't do any of that shit. Just fucking buy BTC.
They're just metrics, I think. They're just metrics of bullish things that are happening in the space. And I think that's why people are interested, because they're like, hang on, you know, Larry Fink, whoever is from BlackRock, is bullish on Bitcoin and the Grayscale and the Ethereum ETFs coming up, and so Visa doing that Solana thing, payment rail, and then Metamask doing their 9% scam fiat off ramp thing. So it's like there's lots of people doing shit, even though the price is sort of getting hammered. It's just something that we can use to cope.
Yeah, and maybe for some people that don't want to have to worry about the way that it's stored and the potential for F-ups, these guys are going to have like commercial grade, like they will have experts running the storage scheme. Or
some people,
noobs and normies and stuff can just sort of like have the peace of mind of Bitcoin exposure to the asset's potential appreciation with none of the technical headache, risks of stuffing it up, human error, being like, oh, I heard that this one guy had some Bitcoin and then like totally lost everything, like lost their entire stack because they clicked a bad link or forgot to wrote the seed phrase down incorrectly and stuff like that. So I think this for a lot of people, it takes away all the technical barriers, it takes away all the fear. People can get exposure to this asset class without any of that shit. So while I agree with you, 43, that for me and for anyone who I believe is technically savvy enough to navigate it or has already been doing so, then no way. But for everyone else, like if I had like an older person that I know asking me about it, I would maybe be like, look, this might be a good option for you to not have to.
Yeah.
I think it's like this risk spectrum thing. So when you're not doing it on chain, holding your own keys and things like that, like it can seem like that's harder, but if you're leaving your money on exchanges, you're relying on middlemen, then that's how you can get proper wrecked. Like that's how you can lose your entire bag.
Get FTX and Celsius and all that crap that happened.
Yeah. So it's almost a bit ironic that sometimes people take the easier option because they think it's too hard or to hold their own keys or something like that. But really, self-custody is the safer way to do it. You just have to be educated.
Do you know what maybe a good hybrid would be for people that are in that situation? You go and buy the majority of your stack with something like that where you feel comfortable. However, you start your journey of self-custody with a small amount. And then in like a couple of years, you are building that confidence in yourself where you're like, well, I've been using this hardware wallet to mess around with DeFi and stuff for 2 years now, and nothing's gone wrong. Or maybe it has. And you're like, oh, lucky I only lost 5% of my stack. Yeah. And then, but at least you're starting to you're starting to learn and get comfortable with that tech.
One of those guys from BitBoy Crypto, like one of the guys who is in their team and presents and everything like that. Recently
Class mentioned that to me,
lost a whole lot on MetaMask through a MetaMask.
Boating accident. Whenever I hear someone in crypto saying that they lost their stack, my first thought is boating accident.
Or just trying to stay relevant.
I'm
maybe
so
because...
sus on that whole. Sorry, Dozza, what'd you say?
Just that maybe he's just trying to stay relevant, because it's like BitBoy is like, left and that AJ guy has retained the BitBoy name, but he's not BitBoy. And it's like, oh, and then people
I'm
are like,
sus on that whole deal,
going to zero, bro.
That whole thing that's gone down. I'm sus on the whole thing.
Zero, dude.
I'm skeptical on all that shit. I just think that they're, I don't know. I don't.
It's 2 days of our lives for me. I just don't care. Like, I'm just
other channels have tried to do it in a non-hostile way where the main person has obviously wanted a break or they've wanted to step away from that relentless having to stream all the time. And so they start to get someone to like replace them on every second stream or entirety. The audience loses their shit. The audience loses their shit whenever you try and do that. People watch a channel, person that is that channel. That's why they watch the shit. You cannot replace that person with someone else and expect that channel to successfully continue.
We've got a great experiment now with that because Ben Armstrong has started up his own channel. So you'll be able to directly see the views of his versus BitBoy Crypto and what happens to there, where people go to watch.
Yeah, his channel's going to explode. There's going to go to zero. That's what I like.
Look, I like what Ben did for, standing up with, RH, standing up for RH a couple of times. And he mentioned Hex a few times. And they had, Richard on that around the blockchain thing. And obviously, like, he was against SBF and the whole, Luna, the Machinsky guy. And so I have a little bit like a modicum of respect for Venn for doing all that stuff. But, at the end of the day, these guys do just lead the lambs to the slaughter and just dump all these coins on their heads, of their followers' heads. Maybe not as bad as some of the others, but I think that is fairly despicable.
That's what makes that. That's what makes that show so ridiculous as well. That show where all those guys get to decide what's good and what's bad.
Yeah, that's why I want to go on there and shut them down.
Yeah, bro, I'm so keen for you to get on that show. I want to start a petition.
Let's do it.
See if we can get 100,000 fucking likes on just Get Tangent on Killer Whales. You just roll in and just be like,
someone in the crypto space that we know must be the people that are involved in it somehow. We just need to get on there and just shut them down.
Well, they need to spice it up a bit. They need to give it a blast with the spice weasel, because at the moment it's a bit dry. So I think you're the perfect person to do it, Tangent.
I mean, I would have to learn about 80% of the people on the show before I can actually slay them, because most of them are just nobodies to me.
No, you should be a judge, man. You don't have to go in there and chill to them. I want you to be a judge and get on there.
Bro,
and just
okay. Got it. This probably sounds like complete fantasy, but how about this? In one of the episodes, we staged the takedown. So I go on as a fake contestant and fucking fuck them up. And then as part of the plot line, they get me to become one of the judges.
They're just like,
and so
they're like, we like you so much, you're hired. That's awesome. And then from then onwards, you can just be like, not really listening, just with your headphones on and shit. Just be like, what is this? SafeMoon fork? Nah, no deal. I'm out. Hang on. And just be on your phone and shit, not really listening. Just give them no respect.
It doesn't make any sense. These guys are not devs. Have they created coins? What have they done? What have they actually contributed? I haven't even seen these guys.
It's a fucking TV show, dude.
No, but at least when I watch the Shark Tank, I see the Shark Tank and I know those people there are fucking billionaires and rich as fuck, flying around on that they're flying around on jets and they're rich. So they've done the right things to get there. These guys, you don't know that at all. Who the fuck are these guys?
Hang on, you don't know that at all. They dress these people and they put them on a set and they tell you these things, but that's all you know. They could be up there.
Mark Cuban owns the fucking Timberwolves or some shit. Does he actually owns this public records?
Public records, dude. Yeah. How do you think
he owns NBA team or some shit?
Louis. How do you think they make the force rich? It's all public record.
Yeah, the guys on Shark Tank,
These
the
dudes
guys
are
and
rich.
girls on Shark Tank are
Finance
rich.
is untapped. He could be up,
Rich.
but he could be up to his eyeballs in debt to own all of that stuff.
Oh, most likely. I mean, isn't that how they do it? Is they just get loans against all their assets and you know. So, but yeah, look, I mean, if the guys on this killer whales crypto thing, like you say, are provably like on chain or whatever, like billionaires and have actually, created things. I mean, Wendy, I think she's been around for a while and she seems quite nice. So, and Ran, I guess, like he's made his money from other means. I reckon they make more money.
Ran's a good addition. Cheeky fuck. So he's good.
Yeah.
I think he's good. But
true.
Do we know
imagine if you had like
this
and like Bitcoin OGs and shit who have been in the space like forever.
Do we know when this TV show is coming out?
Who's savage? Who's savage out of the Bitcoin? Who's like
That's only a pilot.
Good at calling out.
Well,
it hasn't even been
Tone Vase on that.
No, not Tone Vase. No.
It was on some weird.
Who is a savage? Who is a savage in Bitcoin? Who's a savage Bitcoiner?
Well, you need RH on there for
other than me. RH would be perfect.
RH would just.
Should we make our own version of this show? Should we make our own version of this show?
Yes, we should.
We need
if we could get
RH
to stream again, double whammy, that would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, isn't there already like some sort of shield tank thing that they do on Spaces? Maybe
Moon King does a shield tank.
But I don't listen to it because that's exactly the same. Like, they buy up a bunch of coins and then they they start shilling it, and then people will start buying into it, and they use them as exit liquidity. Like I even saw, we're talking about that Solana sort of Visa partnership, and that came out like a few days ago, right? And then I saw the Altcoin Daily guys did a big post about it, and they're like, breaking news, Visa's partnered with Solana. And I'm thinking, you motherfuckers, like you pretty much just bought up a bunch of Sol, and you're shilling it so you can dump onto your followers. That's exactly what you're doing. Anyway, it just shits me. I've said this before, so
I've just looked up an article that says it's set to launch in June, and that was an article from May this year. So,
I saw it was on some weird like Hello TV thing, and I'm like, what is that shit? Like, it's not even
Hello One
TV. Yeah. I was like, we just stream it from YouTube. But
crypto pictures.
But yeah, I seriously reckon you could do a better one. We'll get Tangent on there, get Cookies on there, get who else wants to be like savage.
You know who else is on it?
Cookies would be savage.
Wait, let me pitch this idea to the Tang Gang. Let me pitch it. They're already a multi-billion-dollar marketing company, right? Like blockchain.
Johnny Chaos would be savage. Johnny Chaos is pretty good. He can shred some people.
Chaos could be.
What about Gary?
He typically only shreds people if they are not into hex. Like, as in,
yeah, true.
Right?
That would just be
he's got a very narrow band of shredding. Like, but he can.
Anyone who's not.
That's actually a very wide band of shredding. That's like everyone gets shredded.
Yeah.
Everyone just gets hammered.
Good point. It's actually the other way around. It's the widest band of shredding. Anything that's not hex.
What about Gary Funding Gym? Do you think
how funny would it be if every project Johnny Chaos is on the panel, and on every project he's just like, no, it's not hex. Like, that's
not hex. Yeah, that's it.
Hey,
just bring me some hex.
Fuck out of here. Like,
no deal. Well, that's how. Do you remember with was it Hey It's Saturday? They had that Red Summers. He used to just gong like every act.
Yes.
Like, he would just be like, no matter how good it was, he'd just be like, gong, like, get the fuck out of here. And they were like, he'd just give them scores of like 2.
What was the guy's name? Red. Used to be
Red
called
Summers.
Red Simons.
Yeah, he was in a band. Red Simons? Oh, someone should correct me in the chat. He was in a band.
Back in the day.
He was like
back in the 70s.
One of these.
You guys are nailing this. If we had like someone who's a celebrity as well, someone who's already
did he used
Roger Ver.
A legacy
hang on.
world.
was
No.
The
legacy
Red
world
Simons
celebrity.
used to go bang and then go with the gong. He used to go around it like this as it vibrated. I remember
Were
that.
they doing something similar
My
to this
youth.
where that was it like a talent thing?
Yeah. He was on Hey Hey or Saturday. Hey Hey at Saturday.
So he would he would give everyone like a 2 or like a 3. Yeah. Like he would just, no matter how good they were, he'd just be like, "This is shit."
They were mostly shit though. They were mostly shit.
They were mostly shit.
Chaos is on the gong. Chaos is on the gong. Richard Hart's there as the like token billionaire. Cookies is going to shred everyone hard.
Richard Hart is not going to do it. The other two are realistic.
I'm fantasizing, bro. I'm fantasizing. And then we need a real world celebrity. We need a real world celebrity, like someone who's not necessarily crypto or as recent crypto, like a Snoop Dogg, Eminem type person that's maybe
Chael Sonnen.
Yeah.
But not like a full crypto bro.
MMA.
No.
It's
has to be
like
this can't be niche celebrities that only some people know. This has to be like fucking wide.
Well,
like
Snoop Dogg will shill NFTs and shit and go on.
We could pay Snoop Dogg we could pay Snoop Dogg to do it. I know he's
Snoop Dogg is not cheap.
So cool. He's just like
he charges $250,000 for 1 hour. I think we can.
I was just about to say. I think you can. I think we pay him like $100,000.
We pay him in fucking
before we start doing shit.
20 minutes, $100,000.
So it's going to be shown. It's going to be shown in January 24.
Tim Dillon or Ricky Gervais. We need a big name stand-up comedian. Tim Dillon would probably do it, bro.
You need someone who's like under the radar, who's like starving. Someone like a starving artist who's willing to get paid in hex.
And really, someone who's down horrendous and he's willing to just...
who's willing to accept HOA as payment or
HOA as payment. All the people get paid in HOA, yes.
It's like, bro, the liquidity is not quite there, but just give it a few years. You'll be rich.
I don't think it needs years, bro. So I don't think it needs years.
Hey, boys and girls, I'm going to duck out.
That's
have a happy rest of your happy hour. I'll listen to you guys on the drive home. So have a good weekend.
Legend.
Cheers, man.
Thanks, 43. Catch you, bro.
Hey, give me the pitch of give me the elevator pitch of this show. Like, what's it supposed to be about, or like, I
think it's literally they just ripped off Shark Tank and they're just inserting.
No. This show. No.
This one that we're on.
Yeah. Is it
was just chat about DeFi and just have a couple of beers with the Aussie.
So just
guys.
catch up and talk shit about crypto and stuff.
Yeah, and it was just specifically Australian. So I wanted to try and get more Australian people, streaming and stuff, and that way, if people want to come on, if you want to run it one day, or Bluey wants to do it, then they can, and if I'm on holiday or whatever, if other people want to take it over, it's just like chill, like whoever wants to do it, sort of thing.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool. I just I didn't know whether it had like a specific mission statement of like what was the purpose of it. That's great.
I haven't.
That sounds good.
Yeah, particularly because of Friday Arvo, I think a lot of people, it's got that sort of happy vibes on a Friday Arvo where you want to have a couple of beers and after people finish work and go out and stuff like that. So, and Cabana, smashed that, but that was like 4 a.m. our time. So it's kind of just ripping off.
I was Cabana's just thinking of his show. So it's that idea, but for the Australian time zone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For sure, bro. So if there was anything else, I mean, I was just talking about some random stuff before, like the liquid loans thing. I think is bullish.
Okay.
It'd be cool to see. I wonder if Jexa knows how far away they are. But the other thing I was going to talk about, well, two things actually. One thing was semi-serious, which is like with the whole SEC FUD thing. You know how RH has been putting out a whole bunch of like legal precedent tweets where he's saying this case versus this case, and then the judge has like set a precedent by calling, you know, ETH the commodity or whatever.
I've been loving those tweets.
Yeah, it's awesome. Do you think that sort of he's doing that because he's preparing a defense to fight it, right? Rather than taking like a settlement? Or do you think B, which is I think possibly more likely, that he's putting this stuff out there to sort of show the SEC, like, if you want to take this to trial, this is just the shit that I came up with like this morning over breakfast, and I've got so much other alpha that I'm not even showing you. So if you want to approach with this, you know, a settlement offer before it goes to the hearing, then he might be amenable to that settlement. But he's just kind of like saying, check out all of these precedent cases that I could just pull out just to show that he is like well prepared if they wanted to take it to trial.
I'm going to go with C. I believe he's signaling to the community without being able to directly say this, because a tweet like this would be problematic of what I'm about to say, is guys, stop fucking, like, don't stress about this shit. Don't fade, don't sell. I have got hardcore lawyers that are fucking sorting this shit out. Look at this list of shit that we just flexed with like an effortless list of how hardcore we're going to go on these motherfuckers. Just stop stressing, stop selling. Everything's going to be completely fine. I'm on this shit. That's what I believe he's doing. Because he doesn't need to publicize that shit, right? Like he knows that he's got the best lawyers and he's crushing it and they're crushing it and it's not a bit of a flex. But he needs a way to signal that to everyone else, but formatted in a way that, one, his lawyers say it's acceptable for him to publicly state. Yeah. Because he's doing in that tweet is he's stating facts, right? He's giving a list of historical examples that may or may not be relevant to crypto cases. So he's not out there being like, fuck the SEC, I'm gonna crush these clowns. But that's what the tweet says. He's like, check out all, like, it's like doing a little walk through your ammo closet. Like, check out all my guns that I've got here. You don't need to say, don't fucking come around and try and rob my house when you've got YouTube videos of like how many guns and all this ammo that you. So it's like an indirect way of saying, don't fuck with me when you're showing the ammo case. Yeah. He's like, look at the ammunition that I've got. Look at the shit. This is my lawyers came up with this just off the dome. Imagine the shit show when we take this into a courtroom. Like, exactly. So I agree.
And it could go both ways. Yeah, I think, and having that option as well.
I think it's more of a general fight because he specifically addressed the Coinbase and XRP people, lawyers, and saying, hey, how about all of these things you haven't brought up? There's tons of more arguments as well. So I think he's just
he could get that message to them without doing it publicly, right? There's a reason he did this publicly.
Exactly. Why would you show your hand?
Take the context where he did not need to put this public. He did not need to publicize this information. Why public? And that's why I'm
but if he wants them to see it, what's his best option to get them to see it? Is to do it in that way.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Who? Coinbase or the SEC?
Well, no, Richard. Well, no, he addressed
his lawyers could just tell the SEC. But his lawyers could have just discussions with the SEC in negotiation discussions. They'd be like, hey, look at all of this list. So he doesn't need to do that.
Well, they will have a discovery. Yeah, they will. Although, when they go,
the lawyers get to communicate, right? In a case like this, obviously, that's how it works. Like, as in, his lawyers would be in contact with their lawyers in terms of the negotiation of that shit. And so he doesn't need to put that public and hope that they just happen to check his Twitter.
No.
I think there's a reason why he did this publicly.
No, the reason I think, I think what has happened is that he's been sued by the SEC. So his reaction as a person is to go, rightio, I'm going to like research the hell out of this and I'm going to like be right on top of my game. And when he was finding out all of these precedents and arguments and he was looking at the XRP and Coinbase cases, and he was saying, you guys are like a part of my team because like we're all against this ridiculous persecution of crypto.
Common enemy, yeah.
And so he's gone, hey, XRP and Coinbase guys, have you also thought about these arguments and precedents as well that we could go on? And it's basically just like gearing up for the fight. So I'm still
maintain that he could have got that information to them without doing it public.
So, no, he could no. I disagree. His best avenue is to do it publicly, because if he has lots of views on it, they are more likely to actually take notice of it than if some dude just fucking emails them. And the point of
it's like everyone has seen it now, so everyone has seen that.
He doesn't have to show his cards. It's like if they come to him with a settlement because that's what they want to do, then he will just be able to consider that at the time. Like if he thinks it's a fair settlement, or if he thinks no, it's a ridiculous settlement, then he's not going to do it. Obviously, he's just gearing up. He's just like getting all of these cards in order.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like, I guess that they might take it more as in there's potential for them to face criticism if they don't then adopt those things, because everyone now knows that is good weaponry, and people will be like, yo, this shit was public knowledge that got jammed in your face. Why did you not use it? Maybe. So rather than them thinking that they know better.
If the XRP and the Coinbase people start using some of his arguments that he's presented, then that will set more precedent. And so it will aid his case as well down the track.
Yeah, like so that basically he gets to use them as guinea pigs on some of the defense strategies that they are cooking up.
We're all on the same team. He's saying we're all on the same team. The SEC are doing these frivolous and capricious and ridiculous suits against crypto, and he's going, there's all of these precedents for free speech and coders free speech and all of that kind of stuff. And he's saying you can also start using these arguments because these are solid arguments which have precedent. And if that's the case, when it comes to his case, well, there's no way in the world they can call it a security if everyone else has already been winning and not calling it security. And there's other precedents where it's a commodity and all of that stuff. So that'll go.
I mean, I love the overall thing that you're saying. I love the concept, like as in not specifically to do with why public versus not public. I still think that could have been done privately, but I think this is a great point that the more of these things that get raised by other people, he can see how it plays in court. Potentially, if it helps them to win, then it strengthens his shit. Like, so
it's more precedents as well.
Sharing notes is a good idea.
He's also pivoting on his. I mean, obviously, he's pivoted on his public persona. He was doing the outrage marketing, and now he's going, I'm pivoting now. I'm going to be humble.
People believe that was under the advice of lawyers for him to stop.
I disagree. I disagree. I think that this is like something he planned.
He did it at 300,000 tweets. Sorry, 300,000 followers on Twitter, though. Did you notice that?
I didn't.
Like when he turned into Humble Richard was
so maybe he had
300,000 followers.
For how many?
Yeah, I reckon he literally
He turned into outrageous.
Yeah. And when he gets to 350,
he stepped into it. He played that character, that role. The movie's done. He pivoted. And he told us
when it gets to 350,
he was already doing outrage. I think he was doing outrage before the movie was a thing, though.
No, he was just doing himself, but people took it as being outrageous. But then he said, fuck you guys, and he stepped into it. And it was partially...
Played it up. He played it up. Yeah, leaned into it hard. But I mean, so what I was going to say is like, if he went from, say, 250,000 Twitter followers to, as outrage to 300,000 Twitter followers, and then flipped at 300K to humble, it could be that at 350K Twitter followers, he's going to flip to something else, and he's just using these metrics to see how long did it take me to go 50,000 Twitter followers, and as like an experiment to see which one got me to the next 50,000 followers faster. Was it the outrage? Was it the humble? You know what I mean? Like if you were going to experiment with different techniques, like that would be.
I mean, how many followers? How many followers does he have right now? He has 329,000 followers right now.
Yes, so humble Richard is gaining 50,000K followers slower than outrage Richard. You know what I mean? So as a metric, you could use that as an argument for why the outrage works.
No, hold up. There's a fallacy in that though. It's all marginal increases are always more difficult because there's all these people who are already following you. So you've already exhausted.
Yeah, like as a percentage.
You've already exhausted the majority of people in the crypto space are already following you. It's harder to find new people that are not the set of people who are not following you who may be interested to has decreased. So I don't think it's a fair
other
comparison.
Factors. And it's not a great
factors,
And
he can't have as much of a presence anymore. Like so he's very restricted into what he can even produce as content. That would imagine if he was streaming and people are like, this guy's the man, I want to follow him everywhere and follow him on Twitter
as well.
And it's a bear market. So there's cofactors.
So it's probably not a great metric. Yeah, that's a fair point. I can see that for sure.
Maybe he knew that he painted a big target on his own back. So
that's
he Icarus that shit. That shit. I was thinking that today, Louis. I was thinking that exact same thing.
Too close to the sun.
I was thinking, fucking hell, lesson learned. Don't if you're going to go large in crypto, don't go that.
But maybe he wanted it.
That's part of the plan. He wanted that. He drew that so that he would get the.
Speaking of Icarus
level of attention, getting sued by the SEC puts you up with the big boys, Coinbase, XRP, and all of that.
But if you want to go infamous, like if you want to become famous for being,
not if he wins,
dude.
He's got a very solid case.
I know.
Have you seen Hexy Bastard do it though for the 9-inch steps guy?
Where he's
literally he's
doing a Richard
flexing.
He's trying to do the outrage marketing.
Bro, you don't have Richard's like lawyers.
$100 watches.
Oh no, he was in like proper like Lamborghinis and shit. Like
he had a McLaren. He was pulling like a Gucci bag out of a McLaren and stuff. And I was thinking that Dos. I was thinking after what happened to Richard, like I'm sure the UK's got some similar thing where they're gonna go, where did you get that money from? Like that's the problem with flexing money at all. It doesn't matter how you whether you're in crypto or not. When you go and buy a car that costs that much, they're going to look into your shit.
They rented it for the day.
He was renting it though.
Oh, you reckon he rented it? He can afford to buy it. He can afford to buy it many times over.
No, he went to Dubai. He fucking rented a car.
He rented it, did he? Okay.
He's got he's got his mates' watches. He's he's trying to put it on.
He's funny though. He's funny.
Yeah, I love Hexy Bastard. He's awesome.
What we talked about just before that. So
I can't wait.
Yeah.
9-inch is amazing.
I wanted to say, I know, and I'm guilty of this as well. I know that everyone in the crypto space, we like to do big talk and be like, my shit's censorship resistant. The government can't touch my Bitcoin or whatever it is, right? But in reality, the US government is no joke, man. I don't think anyone, no matter what kind of 5,555 D chess that they're playing, would ever actively go and want to get sued by the fucking SEC or any American 3-letter agency.
Yeah,
that shit is no joke, man. That would be stressful as fuck.
He did talk about though in the past. If you go hexsearch.io and you look at he speaks
very respectfully to them.
He's always been very respectful, but he does sort of say that the precedent was set with EOS that you just pay a fine and it's not a big deal. I guess the big deal was if the DOJ got involved.
Unless they change their mind and decide they want to make an example of you.
Ivan
on Tech made a really interesting point. He said, He goes, it seems that in each category of crypto, the first version of a crypto thing that they go after, they give them a slap on the wrist. And then after that, so that's kind of like the warning. They get off lightly, but it sets the warning for everyone that this, we don't like this, you don't do this. And then after that, you're not necessarily just going to get the same slap on the wrist bullshit, because they've kind of already, they've said, look, we already gave you an example where we told you that you're not allowed to do this shit, and then you guys went and did it. So people think those slap on the wrist punishments is like I can just go and do this and the punishment's not that bad. Don't assume that.
Okay,
can I change subject? Can I change subject for a sec?
Please do. Yeah.
So how about this as a hypothetical, right? We see Hedron and Icosa. He's coming up with a version 2 of the contracts, right? Which will mean that you can like do anything. If you have a bridge over token from either side of the chain, you can do anything like that, right? Could we ever see a Hex version 2 where you could stake either native you could use it just as you could use the bridge version as the
I was thinking about that too.
It's technically possible. It's technically possible.
And then it would arb the price together.
All Richard or the team or whatever would have to do is just deploy a new version of the Hex contract where the input token is the bridged asset on both chains.
Yeah.
So that you've got
also change it, maybe.
However,
so that the way it calculated the share price wouldn't be so gas intensive, so it would be cheaper on both sides to
the only problem is all 4 of them would diverge in that all 4 of them would have a T-share rate and a you can't pin the T-share rates across these contracts. It's not possible. So all 4 of these Hex contracts,
that's okay. That would be okay.
You effectively end up with 4 Hex though.
Why 4? Why not just 2?
Because
bridged in
it kind of be a bit fucked because so I'll give you an example. Say you've got one of these bridged hexes,
2 names,
and so now there's this contract that you can stake into. However, there's also the option to bridge back and stake it in its original form on the native chain. So now you've got 2 different spots that you can stake the same asset with different T-share rates, different parameters, different holders. It's kind of a bit fucked. Like, and maybe that people would arb that difference out. So maybe there would be an arb there, but the arb would be confusing as fuck because it's not just like which one's, it's what, not which one. It's the arb is different whether you want to stake, whether you don't want to stake, how long you're staking for. It's a bit of, I think it would just be too much of a clusterfuck.
And there's another thing as well. So because 43 and I were talking last week about this, the EIP 4844 that they're on Ethereum that they're going to implement, the Cancun upgrade. And they're talking about this proto dank sharding, or dank sharding as I like to call it. And they was just saying that, you know, that it was going to be more like gas efficient. And so if you redeploy, like if you deployed like a new version of the Hex contract and you did some migration, like after those EIP 4844s had been implemented, it may not be as gas intensive even on the Ethereum side for like long-term stakes because it you know how the S load or whatever, it accumulates gas over each day.
Yes.
Once those changes have been put in, it would actually make the EHEX version of that would be super cheap to unstake. So, so we don't know what could happen in the future. And there's Galaxy Brain guys like Alex, like you say, that's doing this already for the Hedron. So that's why it's sort of like, you know, whether you like PHEX or ETHEX, it's like, just don't fade the other one, just like whichever one you like, but you don't have to, you know, fade the other one in the process because you don't know what's going to happen in the future, you know.
You know what you could maybe do is like, rather than having the contracts like structure for people to be able to actually stake, maybe you have like is this already what Max is? Like if you had a tokenized representation of a T share and then it's tradable for
Yeah, it's kind of what Max.
Yeah, you'd have
I
to
think maybe that's kind of too close to what these perpetuals are.
Yeah, it depends on how you think of it. Yeah, that's interesting.
And so I guess what you could actually do then is just use the bridged hex to buy the perp on that chain. Is that similar enough? So like say you bridge your Ethereum hex, you've got your Ethereum hex over on PulseChain, you've got eHex or whatever, and then you could just trade it into one of the perpetuals.
I either haven't had enough beers or I've had too many beers. I haven't had the exact right amount of alcohol to understand this.
People actually complain about the liquidity though in that case, whereas in the
that's true. That is annoying.
Liquid. So it is not the same. It's not the same.
Look,
let me just be. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Richard is going to create new hex contracts and confuse the situation.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be Richard that does it. Yeah. But you need a community consensus, though. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be Richard. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good point. You can fork the code.
It's not even, you don't even need to fork the code. You make a new contract, but the way you get the hex of this new contract is by giving your old hex to that contract.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean by forking the code. Like, as in, you just redeploy the same contract, but just change what the input asset is.
Yeah.
Well, you make a version 2, so you make a completely different contract, which is more gas efficient and which is a better hex.
And you could remove all the big payday stuff. You remove all the big payday shit out of the contract.
You don't need any of that crap in there.
You don't need any of that shit.
You can make another big payday.
How is this not being done?
You know what I don't.
Well, the OA has
fork out the OA.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
No. But then you actually
that's crucial
towards what other people already tried to do. Right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is you need the OA because
wait. Here's the difference.
That'd be bullish if the OA started buying the new contracts coins. That'd be incredibly bullish for that contract.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Wait. Because the difference is when those people tried to do it, they actually tried to make their own token. Whereas this,
true,
asset is still hex. So it's all the hex holders. That distribution is still, so you're not creating a new contract that you then are like the god of. You are you're only allowing real hex or bridged hex to be the input currency. But you could also just fork out the OA and just fucking.
You can't fork out the OA because then you'd have to alter the actual blockchain. You can't fork out the OA.
Yeah, it gets complicated. I can't see I can only see the DeFi DOS chat. I can't see the DeFi Down Under chat. So apologies, chat.
Yeah, you're right, Bluey. Yeah, you're right, Bluey. It'd be difficult because even if you blacklist that address, he can just move it to a new address and then put it in.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're right. It would be very difficult to blacklist the OA. Yeah. But and I was joking.
43 OG. That's funny. Okay, I got it on my phone. 43 OG is saying you guys are talking exactly about what RH has done with PulseChain. Like effectively, he's given us this whole chain where we can do it gas, more efficient, and that's kind of funny.
But
I was going to say one other thing.
But we're also talking.
Yeah, I know what we were saying, like the migration on the Ethereum side. Yeah,
but also like being able to use the hex on, like it's just hex. You don't have to know what bloody chain it's on or whatever.
Can I highlight that? I think what 43 is suggesting, it's assuming that we're then going to say, hey, the purpose of this is for people to bridge over and stake over here. That's not what we're saying. Like we're not saying to present the narrative. Oh, this is so that everything can be done on. It's for people who happen to already have their assets over on. So because we'd have the contract on the other side as well, right? So that people who have bridged their Pulse hex over to Ethereum have a spot to do it in without having to bridge back and forward and shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's not to try and to convince people to come one direction or the other. It's just so that everyone's got full options. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's an interesting thought experiment.
I had another thought experiment, which is completely unrelated, but I'd ask you guys about it. Is you know how RH talks about if you've got a business that's paying their employees, and if they're paying all their employees on chain, then every other employee can see what every other employee is getting paid, and you can see what's in that. So is there a way, and how come there isn't, if there isn't, but I'm assuming there is, where you could get a contract where you send, so say you're sending like a stable coin, and then you send it to the contract puts it into a stablecoin liquidity pool, like a asymmetric, like a one-sided V3, Uniswap V3 pool, where you basically just got one side of the pool, one side of the pair in the pool, and then you could either send the NFT to the recipient so that they could remove that liquidity position. So that way that it's not the same coins that are going in, because they're going into a pool, and then the receiver is actually just removing the liquidity position.
But you'd see the NFT being...
So the NFT would be obviously traceable to the person who's sending it, but not if the contract is the one that's creating the liquidity position. So if you send it from wallet A to a contract, and the contract is the one that creates the liquidity position.
The NFT comes from the
contract.
So the NFT comes from the where the pool is to the employee.
Yeah.
Rather so you just send all the money to the thing, and then the NFTs
so you send money to basically a contract. The contract puts it in a pool, and then the contract gets the LP tokens in the form of an NFT or whatever. It gives it to the receiver, and then the receiver just removes the liquidity position. And then there would be the only thing you would see is that one person's added liquidity to a pool, and then the other person, the receiver, has removed liquidity, but the actual
but you'd see all of the addresses that got those, but you'd see all the addresses that got those NFTs, and you'd see all of that.
Oh, okay. Well, even if they didn't get sent an NFT, they could
I'm not sure, but
the best solution is like secret network, because in secret network, you need your private key in order to view an address's transactions.
Dozer, what I will say is most of this stuff is codable, like as in you probably could create something that is able to do that. But it might end up being, because I'm just thinking out loud, but it might end up being quite a specific solution that then can't be used for other privacy. It might only work for when you're distributing funds to employees or something very similar to that.
Yeah, like just stable coins, or just if you were sending like a friend or something like that, like $100 or whatever, you're sending it through a liquidity pool. If the contract just like creates a position, takes the position out, that would,
in this case, you don't mind. So you don't mind the control of that contract staying with the other entity.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Well, it's a contract though. It's not a middleman. It's peer to contract to peer. Yeah. So you have to audit the contract.
I mean, you're basically just relabeling a mixer as a liquidity pool.
Yes. But anyway, it was just an idea. I was just like, is this already a thing?
Because LPs in a way do kind of act like mixers in the sense.
Yeah, in a sense. Yeah, because it's just a pool, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what exchanges do when you send to an exchange, and an exchange sends it to somewhere else. Apart from the fact that the exchange KYCs, the exchange is just a big pool, and then when you try and that exchange sends it to another wallet, and you look back and you see it's come from, Kraken 7 or Binance 3 or whatever, you can't tell. There's a million transactions going out from there, so it kind of, the exchange.
I think I would need to think about this more, but one thing's for sure is that if it was that use case that you're talking about, you would need the ability to change what the addresses are. Like you couldn't just have like fixed whitelist addresses. you would need to be able to control that remotely in terms of where the shit can go to, in case you fire one employee and hire someone else. So it would need to be.
Anyway, I was just thinking about it. I've got another question for you before I jet, because I got to disappear.
Yeah, I need to go and do shit as well, actually.
What is going on with Atropa and the PDI and everyone just frothing over it? It's like, surely it seems like silly, because it's not backed by anything. Like PDI, even if it got to $1, like people would just sell it and it would immediately lose its peg. So, but this Atropa contract seems to be doing all sorts of shit.
It's not going to get anywhere near $1. It's not going to. People are dumping it at 1 cent. Like it's not going to get anywhere near $1. And the other thing is that all of the other stable coins like USDC have to come up with it, because they can also be redeemed in the same way through the DAI contract.
I said on a Twitter space recently that I started off being like vocally opposed to it, and now I'm just like sitting back and observing what's happening.
Let him cook.
Let the man cook.
Let the man cook.
The thing is, I was like, well, I mean, if they can pump this thing, if they can keep because it's pumped today, it's like it's almost at a new all-time high, right?
People are going to people are going to have hopium and they're going to get wrecked, and it's just going to be.
I don't think people should buy it. I wouldn't recommend anyone. But if you already happen to have a bunch,
people are on full hopium. They're just like mainlining hopium on this one.
Mainlining, They've just got the gas mask. They're just like, It's the oldest trick in the book, isn't it? Like if I've got a billion,
IV, fucking got it at Enema. They got it on full.
Yeah. They've mainlined the hopium.
They've got fucking hopium suppositories. They're put up between nails or some shit.
And by the way, my bag is tiny in dollar terms, but like enough to become a multi-billionaire if it fucking goes like whatever. No, like
you will get on that Killer Whale show.
I promise. I promise my commentary is not bag bias. I promise my commentary is not bag bias. I was just thinking, like today or yesterday, I was thinking, it's less than 1,000x from here to get to $1 for this thing, right? And there are heaps of cryptos that have done 1,000x's that didn't deserve to, and it was literally just the upward momentum that took them there, right? Like look at what Hex did. It did it it did a 10,000x and shit, and some would say that at that point it was overvalued for its time or whatever. But Hex is probably a bad example. I don't want to get death threats. The point is that coins can do those kinds of numbers, and typically it's based on narrative. And this one's got this narrative of it could get its peg back and go to $1, right? That's its narrative, right? Is that a better or worse narrative? But then they've got all this mystery and curiosity surrounding it, because they've got all of this like massive amounts of like they've got like huge LPs and all of this like interconnected web of like all of these ways that shit works. And then they've got these bots that are like making money and then putting that money back into trying to buy the price up. And like, so it's
the Atropa thing, that's what makes it interesting. If it was just PDI going, we're going to go to $1, and it's like, you'd be like, that's silly.
If it was just a bunch of bag holders saying we can repeg, I would say, get the fuck out of here.
Tell me the methodology.
But there's more.
Tell me the methodology by which another token called Atropa, because somehow manages to get the.
They keep buying it. They keep buying it.
They keep buying
it or some shit.
They keep buying it. They
just
keep
buying it, and they're like,
they've got our bots. I think they've got bots.
It doesn't make any sense.
They've got bots that actually really make money, and then they're using that money to try and drive the price up.
Yeah, look, whoever's doing it is clever. Like I'll give a hat tip to the Atropa guys, but the idea,
they're doing weird shit.
The Atropa guys are doing weird shit.
They're doing weird shit.
Impressive. But the PDI sort of maxis, if you can call that, I don't want to step on any toes or anything. But this is like the oldest crypto meme in history is when you get a token, right? That's cost, you know, whatever it is, a billionth of a cent or something, and you get a billion
like,
of them.
It can go to $1.
If it goes to $1, I'll be a billionaire. Like, and that's just the oldest, like, it
holy fuck,
is.
you're right. That's the shib.
Everyone
Like, that's
has
the
done
shib
that.
fucking, that's the shib.
It's shib. It's shib. It's the same meme. It's like, you know, the oldest profession, like the prostitutes. It's like they were there,
shib,
like from the
shib
dawn of time.
with a
This is like
target.
the prostitutes of memes, where you just go, if I've got 1 million of these tokens and they're 10,000th of $1, if it does a 10,000x, I'll have $1 million.
But
it's like,
do you know
simple
what?
maths.
But do you know what? It's actually got the extension. It's the, if this goes to $1 and it's meant to be worth $1. Like, it's got the extension. Whereas when people go, if SHIB goes to $1, why $1? It's just arbitrary. But with this one, it's no longer arbitrary,
it's
right?
Meant to be $1.
It's like it was meant to be $1, sort of. Like, ignore.
It doesn't quite make sense.
Ignore the logic gap. Ignore the logic gap. It's absolutely not.
Ignore the logic gap. If you ignore the logic,
can it be redeemed?
So the logic is, it's got the name. It's got the same name as the one. It's got the ticker. It's got the ticker of the one that's meant to be $1. So why not? Like, and then if enough people, by the way, if enough people believe it, all of these assets are shared illusion, right? The price or the value is a shared illusion. So like, I wish them well, right? Like, I definitely don't have enough of it. I definitely don't have enough of it to become a fucking shill. But like, I'm not bag biased enough. But I mean, if it goes there, I'm happy. Like,
Tangent, yeah, but Tangent, you're going to sell out way before then. Like, you got $1 billion.
You are right. But I've got a policy: never sell all. I do never sell none, never sell all. It's at point. I think it's at 0.16 of a cent. So
I reckon if it gets to 10 cents, it'll be lucky.
2 zeros, yeah. So 2 zeros, 1 6.
Yes. 2 zeros and then a 1 6.
Okay, so let's say it gets to 1 cent.
Let me double check that though.
Your billion is now worth $10 million. You think you're going to be selling it at $10 million? No, is that right?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'll definitely. I'd be selling a fuckload of it early, but I'm definitely not selling all of it.
How does it ever get to $1?
So you are.
This is how we get you onto the killer whales.
And this is the attitude. This is the attitude that prevents people from becoming actual billionaires. Scared money don't make money.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, look, I'm all for it, man. If it can do it, do it. But I'm not gonna.
By the way, I was joking when I said I was joking when I said that I'd become like a multi-decker billionaire if it goes to $1. Like, as in, I was just exaggerating. I was just saying anyone holding a stack would become very wealthy. Like, if you've got a bag of it at all.
But
you know what I mean.
Anyway, look, if it brings adoption and it gets people in on the hopium, the main
I just can't believe
so many
I can't believe so many Hexicans are falling for this hopium. And
I'm not sure they're falling for it.
People want green candles, man. People are desperate to see green candles. Remember that a significant part of our culture in the Hex community is up and to the right. That was like, that was like a cult. That was a cultural, like whether we like it or not, right? That was a cultural part of our history where people were like up and to the right, up and to the right. That was like part of our history, right? So yeah.
Which I always thought was dumb. Because, like,
I'm pretty sure I've even got photos of me doing that. Like,
and then now it's like this, bro. Down and to the right.
Now it's
we have to do that.
Wojak emojis down and to the right. Like.
Why do you say to the right?
Sad face.
Why do people say to the right?
Sad boy.
Like,
sad boy. The chart progression, like as in
no, but it's superfluous. You don't need to say
bear market, man. Like,
all markets always go to the right. You can't not go to the right.
Yeah, true. It doesn't go left.
Good point.
It's the Zoolander.
Good point that it's actually not
possible to the right.
To
goes up. It's a fair point. You don't go back in time.
I think
the arrow of time.
maybe Richard was the one who started saying this thing goes up
it was
into
a
the
catchphrase.
right. I think it was a Richard terminology thing that made it, that added that bit in. But you're absolutely right. You can't go backwards in time, so it can only go right. But now it's breaking all-time highs, which by technical analysis says that's bullish.
Which means you should be selling.
No, you don't sell at all-time highs. It's bullish.
No, don't. Yeah, buy the
breaking all-time highs.
Buy the
I'm
highs,
not saying to buy fake stables. I'm just saying if you remember what we said before, if someone showed you the chart and didn't tell you what the asset is, if someone showed me this fucking PDI chart and said, I'm not telling you what asset is, would you buy this right now? I would say,
I guess
yes.
if you wanted to bet
breaking all-time highs is bullish.
Yeah,
bullish, retesting all-time highs.
You're going to bet on mass stupidity, and that's not a bad bet.
What's that, sorry?
You're betting on mass stupidity, and that is not a bad bet.
That's a good bet.
I agree with that as well. I agree with that as well. I said that quite early. I was like, the market can stay retarded for longer than you can stay solvent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the dumb narratives, they sometimes work out. So look,
but I suspect
I think to bring some balance to this, because I don't want people to think I'm like a fucking PDI bull or a PDI shill. This thing for a lot of people who bought at the low is up like thousands of fucking X's already, right? So you've got some people that are in some serious profits now. So
but then there would have been no liquidity back then. They would have got, if they were getting in that early, they'd have bugger all.
Well, down at the floor.
Well, you're talking about such a low liquidity thing. Like when they got in really, really early, they would have been getting in with like what, $20.
Yeah.
And now they can
but that doesn't matter because
500.
it was on that floor. It was on that floor for a really long time. So if you wanted to accumulate, you could have just done it slowly. If you wanted to whale accumulate that shit, you had plenty of time. So you didn't actually need to drive the price up. You could have just been doing it in a way that.
And now if you want to get out, you have to do it the same way in small amounts over a long period of time.
Yes, and that could absolutely be the reason of why they're doing all this convoluted shit, this web of fucking liquidity pools and stuff. Could be to start to slowly get that money back out.
Yeah, and I think it will cycle into PLS. I suspect at the end of the day, these guys will put it into an asset that they actually.
I like what you said, Dozza, that it brings adoption because you've got people that are like, wait, this thing going on over here with this mystery and all this like web of, now they're launching these coins that they're not even English words. They're like mathematical symbols and like symbols and shit that are not.
I've seen that.
So it's got like, this is like the Da Vinci Code of crypto. People are like, there's chat groups dedicated to like working out what the fuck is going on. You've got like a real world Da Vinci Code thing. People are trying to work it out. People are doing on-chain detective work. They're trying to work out what's going on. I think that level of like sort of mystery and curiosity also is another thing that's going to work in their favor. Yeah. Like people love a good
mystery.
People love murder mystery.
I mean, what's the dumbest idea? What's the dumbest, most ridiculous idea you could come up with for a coin? I mean, PDI's got to be up there.
The most ridiculous idea for a coin. Oh, I don't think I could think of anything that's dumber than most of the stuff that's already been done.
It's pretty hard, eh?
This is what you're talking about, yeah? So these squiggles and shit, like there's...
People are just buying like Arabic and shit. Like
like... It's getting hectic.
Japanese, right. Squiggles. That's it.
What's the liquidity though? $800.
Single coin.
The dumbest idea for a coin like the one that isn't a scam. That's a really hard question. I think you've got me stumped, Bluey.
Some of this shit is pretty silly though. Like, I mean, $700 worth of liquidity. And it's in Arabic, and you don't know what it is. Like, why? I mean,
I actually think that could be a fucking multi-$100 million coin idea. If you can come up with something, because people have done the whole like, this coin does nothing, don't buy it. Reverse psychology. This is a useless coin. All I'm going to do is buy a big screen TV if you buy it. Like, people have tried that level of stupid. if you could come up with something that is truly retarded, I think it could go.
What if you say something like,
well, I think Bluey's frozen.
Can only go up.
They've done that. I was thinking that they've done that. Yobit did the rise only
the other day.
Yeah, Yobit did the rise only market, or you could create a honeypot. Honeypots also only go up because you can't sell. So you've got honeypots only go up, and then the rise only market. See, Yobit's rise only market wasn't technically a honeypot because you were able to sell, but the market was coded that you can never sell for below what the last trade was for. So you're allowed to put an ask in as long as it's above the current price. So it's not quite as bad as a honeypot where you actually cannot sell it ever. You're scammed. Like your tokens are actually, the sell function is deactivated. So, but the rise only market, like, it doesn't work. You can't code away market forces. All it means is that when the market rate for that price is below what that floor is forcing it to be at, it just stays there until a buyer actually is willing. So you just end up with this stagnant market that just doesn't move.
What about a coin where for 1 year you can only buy it, and for 1 year you can only sell it?
Doesn't Maxi and the perps do that?
Just alternately. Like 1 year only buy, 1 year only sell. 1 year only buy, 1 year only sell. Maybe a week, or I don't know.
But no, because no one would buy it as you get towards the end of that first year. Because then you know where the top is. You know where the top is.
Well, I'm thinking about the dumbest idea. We're thinking about the dumbest idea you can have.
And also immediately, as soon as it goes into that sell year, everyone is going to sell within the first minute.
Yeah.
Because you know that it's a year of fucking sell only. You're going to sell.
That's so funny.
So wait, maybe this idea is dumb enough.
People counter trade it. They're like,
maybe this idea
you
is
think
dumb
that
enough.
they're going to sell it. I'm going to buy it. Nah, you were right the first time. It is silly.
You can code anything into these contracts, man. Like, but obviously you can't put time in, but you can put block numbers. Like, you can put blocks in.
You can't put days?
I've got a jet, guys.
Yeah. I actually have to go to the shops as well.
Yeah, I've got to eat.
Guys,
that's cool.
This has been fun. I've really enjoyed this.
Thanks so much for coming on, guys.
Fuck yeah. Cheers,
awesome.
Thanks for hosting.
Good to see you guys.
As usual, man.
See you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, chat. Appreciate everything. Catch us.
See you, bro.